Have you ever heard of a Forfar Bridies? Well, before my Scottish godmother told me about them, I hadn't either. They're a delicious pie from Scotland filled with beef and onion mixture. The best part about it is the pastry though. So if you can make it from scratch, please do. So you need 200 grams of plain flour. Now I'm using a soft, low protein plain flour for this. This is ideal for biscuits, flaky pastry like I'm making, and cakes. So into our food processor. You could do this by hand, but I just find it much easier to use the food processor. So 200 grams of plain flour to 100 grams of unsalted butter. So we're going to cut, and I'll measure that out, 100 grams of the butter. And just to make it easier to bind together, we're going to cut that into little cubes. Okay. Now, there are two ways of making these little pastries. You could do them with puff pastry, but traditionally you would do them with a short crust pastry. So in with that, a pinch of salt always. And I'm just going to blitz this until we get a crumb-like consistency. All right, that's looking good. See how it looks like crumbs? That's what we're after. So now that the flour and the butter has combined, we can add some cheddar cheese to it. Use a lovely cheddar for this and grate it yourself because you will taste the difference. And to this we'll also add 1 egg. So I like to use a whole egg for my pastry. And now it's about bringing the dough together. So a splash of cold water, a small amount, start with a teaspoon or so, blend it together, and when it comes away from the side of the bowl, we know it's almost ready. Okay, that's looking really good. So we'll take it out of the bowl and just pour it straight onto your bench. And we just bring it together and we're just going to flatten that into a thin disc. Now, like always, you don't want to roll it straight away because it's too soft at the moment. It needs to firm up. So I place it into some Glad wrap and we'll pop that into the fridge for about an hour. Okay, while our pastry is chilling, let's get onto the famous mixture inside these Forfar Bridies. Some onion, 1 whole onion, and I've finely grated it, along with some beef mince, and I like to add a little bit of pork mince too, just so we get that lovely moistness in the end result. Some other flavours, Worcestershire sauce, and that goes. And some mustard. You could use Dijon mustard, some hot English mustard if you like. I'm using some mustard powder. And just to ensure it binds together, a combination of some breadcrumbs and 1 egg. Okay. Herb of choice for this is some thyme, and I'll just pick all of those little leaves off. Oh, it smells good. We need to season this, so a good pinch of salt. And if you like some pepper, some freshly cracked pepper. All right, we're going to start mixing this. I'm just going to mash it up with a fork to start with, and then I'll get my hands in there and really work it so we've got a sticky paste-like consistency. And then we'll just wait for that pastry to completely chill, and I'll start rolling. Okay, now that we have 4 even pieces, we can start making our Forfar Bridies. So working with 1 piece at a time. You can see that I've rolled this into a rough oval shape because this is going to flip over and we're going to make that classic Forfar Bridies shape, which is essentially a half moon. So we'll grab our mixture. You want about a big handful, so a tennis ball shape if you like. And you want quite a lot of meat in this because it will shrink significantly as it cooks in the oven. So we'll place that on the bottom half of the pastry. I also like to have a small little cookie cutter just like this, just to cut a circle roughly in the centre of this. By doing that, we're going to let a lot of the fat and air come out as it cooks so we don't get that soggy pastry. Some egg wash, just 1 egg that's been whisked. And we'll just use that as the glue to make sure that this pastry stays closed. Great. And then we'll just fold it over the meat mixture and then close it up. So you want to take all the air bubbles out of this, and then with another cookie cutter or just a plate, I'm just tidying up the edges so we've got that perfect shape. Now what I like to do is just brush on a little more of our egg wash so we get a gorgeous sheen on the pastry. And that's our first Forfar Bridie ready to go. So once I finish making these, I'm going to bring out the trays, put a bit of baking paper on top, then they go in and they're going to cook for about 25 to 30 minutes or until they're golden brown. Okay, the pies have come out of the oven. Do allow them to cool slightly before tucking in, and have a look how gorgeous these are. See how the pastry is really well cooked on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to place them onto my tartan paper over here. How appropriate. Let's put another one just underneath it. And you can serve it with any sauce you like. Tomato sauce, relish, or classic HP is a fantastic combination with the beef and the onions. Now the all-important reveal, let's have a look. We'll cut into one of these. Oh, look at that flaky pastry. And there you go, loaded with lots of meat. See that pastry? That's what it's all about. It's perfectly cooked. And the only way to eat this wonderful Scottish pie Forfar Bridie is to dip it generously into some sauce. Have a taste. Every culture has their own version of meat wrapped in pastry, and I'll tell you what, the Scots, they definitely know what they're doing. That is sensational.